A father's desperate gamble. The night was dark, and the city was burning. Screams echoed in the distance as bright blue lights flashed across the sky. The Draxans had arrived. Their massive ships hovered above the ruined buildings, scanning for survivors. Any human they found was either killed or taken. No one knew where. The Earth was no longer safe. Captain Ethan Cross ran through the broken streets, holding his daughter Mia's hand tightly. She was just 12 years old, small and fragile, but she ran as fast as she could. Her breath was heavy, and her little legs struggled to keep up, but she trusted her father. "Daddy, I'm scared," Mia whispered, her voice trembling. "I know, sweetheart," Ethan said, forcing a smile. "I won't let them take you. I promise." Mia's wide green eyes were filled with fear. She had seen the news. The Draxans were capturing people. The government had announced that only genetically enhanced humans would be saved. The rest would be left to die. Ethan was a scientist working for the military, specializing in human enhancement technology. For years, he had worked on a secret project, a serum that could make humans stronger, faster, and more resistant to disease. It was meant to help humanity survive. But now he realized the terrible truth. The serum was not for everyone. It was only for the elite. The government had decided that only modified humans deserved to live. The rest, expendable. Ethan had to make a choice. If Mia remained normal, she would be left behind. She would die. But if she was enhanced, the government would take her, but at least she would live. As they ran, Ethan's heart pounded in his chest. His lab was close, just a few blocks away. If he could reach it, he could inject Mia with the serum. She would become special. She would survive. But deep inside, something felt wrong. Could he really do this to his own daughter? Would she ever forgive him? The lab, a dangerous decision. They finally reached the lab, hidden beneath an abandoned hospital. The air smelled of dust and chemicals as Ethan quickly locked the metal door behind them. He turned on the emergency lights, making the room glow dimly. Mia was breathing hard, sweat dripping from her forehead. "Daddy, what's happening? Why are we here?" Ethan knelt in front of her and held her shoulders. "Sweetheart, listen to me. The world is changing. People like us, we won't survive unless we change too." Mia frowned. "I don't understand." Ethan hesitated. How could he explain this to a child? "There's something I need to give you," he said, standing up and walking toward a large metal cabinet. He opened it, revealing a single glass vial filled with a glowing blue liquid. Mia's eyes widened. "What is that?" Ethan took a deep breath. "It's a special medicine. It will make you stronger, faster. The government only saves people who take it." Mia's small hands trembled. "Is it safe?" Ethan looked away. The truth was, he didn't know. The serum had been tested on soldiers, but the results were unpredictable. Some had become superhuman. Others had died in agony. But he couldn't tell Mia that. Instead, he forced a smile. "Yes, sweetheart, I promise." Mia hesitated. She trusted her father more than anyone in the world. Slowly, she nodded. "Okay, Daddy." Ethan's hands shook as he filled the syringe with the serum. His heart screamed stop, but his mind whispered this is the only way. He gently took Mia's arm and pressed the needle against her skin. "This might sting a little," he said softly. Mia closed her eyes and held her breath. Then he injected the serum. The transformation begins. At first, nothing happened. Ethan felt a wave of relief. Maybe the serum wouldn't affect her. Maybe she would just remain his little girl. Then, Mia screamed. Her body jerked violently, her fingers clawing at the floor. Her veins turned black for a moment before glowing bright blue. Her breathing became ragged, and she collapsed. Ethan panicked. "Mia, stay with me." Her body shook uncontrollably, as if electricity was running through her veins. Her skin was burning hot. Her heartbeat was too fast. No human heart should beat like that. Tears filled Ethan's eyes. What have I done? Then suddenly, Maya stopped shaking. She lay still, her chest rising and falling slowly. Ethan touched her forehead. Her fever was gone. Then, she opened her eyes. They were no longer green. They were glowing blue. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. Mia sat up slowly, her expression blank. "Mia," he whispered. She turned her head toward him. Her movements too smooth, too precise. Her lips parted, but when she spoke, her voice was not the same. "I feel different." Ethan's blood ran cold. Something inside her had changed, and there was no way to go back. The impossible choice. Ethan Cross had spent years designing the perfect serum, but he never imagined injecting it into his own daughter. Now, he watched in horror as Mia sat up, her glowing blue eyes scanning the room with an unnatural sharpness. The way she moved, too smooth, too controlled, sent a chill down his spine. "Mia, sweetheart, how do you feel?" Ethan's voice trembled as he took a cautious step toward her. Mia blinked, tilting her head slightly. "I feel strong." Her voice sounded off. It was still hers, but there was something different, something detached. Ethan swallowed hard. He had prepared for this, studied every possible outcome. But nothing could prepare a father for this moment. The moment he realized his daughter was no longer just a child. She was something more. Or worse, something else. A new power awakens. Mia slowly looked at her hands, flexing her fingers. The air around her hummed with energy. Ethan saw small blue sparks dancing across her fingertips, as if she had become a living circuit. Then, without warning, the lights in the lab flickered and exploded. Sparks rained down as darkness swallowed the room. Emergency lights buzzed to life, bathing everything in an eerie red glow. Ethan's heart pounded. "Mia, stay calm." Mia gasped, staring at her hands. I didn't mean to." Ethan rushed to her side, gripping her shoulders. "It's okay, sweetheart. Just breathe." But as soon as he touched her, a shockwave blasted from her body, sending him flying across the room. He crashed into the metal cabinets, pain shooting through his back. His vision blurred for a second, and when he looked up, Maya was hovering off the ground. She was floating. Her hair lifted as if caught in an invisible wind. Her blue eyes pulsed with power, her hands clenched into fists. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. This wasn't supposed to happen. The serum was designed to enhance humans, not turn them into whatever Mia had become. "Daddy," Mia's voice was small now, scared. She slowly lowered herself back to the ground. "I don't know what's happening to me." Ethan crawled toward her, ignoring the pain in his ribs. He cupped her face, forcing a smile. "It's okay, sweetheart. We'll figure this out." But deep inside, fear clawed at his chest. What if they couldn't? The government knows. A loud bang outside shattered the moment. Ethan's stomach dropped. The lab's security system beeped wildly as red warning messages flashed on the screens. Unauthorized access detected. Military units inbound. Ethan felt the blood drain from his face. "They found us." He grabbed Mia's wrist. "We have to go. Now." Mia hesitated, but the urgency in her father's voice pushed her into action. Together, they ran toward the back exit, but before they could reach the door, it was blasted open. A team of heavily armed soldiers stormed in, their laser rifles aimed directly at Ethan and Mia. A tall figure stepped forward, his face half covered by a cybernetic mask. Commander Grayson, Ethan's former boss, and his worst nightmare. Well, Grayson's voice was smooth but deadly. "I always knew you'd break protocol, Ethan. But experimenting on your own daughter, that's a new low." Ethan stood protectively in front of Mia, his fists clenched. "She's not an experiment. She's my daughter." Grayson smirked. "She's not just your daughter anymore." He nodded toward Mia, his cold gaze analyzing her like a machine. "She's the key to everything." Mia shrank behind Ethan, her fingers gripping his arm. "Daddy." Ethan held up his hands, trying to stay calm. "Just let us go, Grayson. We won't be a problem." Grayson chuckled. "Oh, you misunderstand. You're already a problem." He snapped his fingers. "Take them." The soldiers stepped forward, their weapons humming with energy. Ethan's mind raced. He couldn't fight trained military men. He was a scientist, not a soldier. But Mia was something else. "Stay behind me, sweetheart," Ethan whispered. But before he could do anything, Maya stepped forward. Her glowing blue eyes locked onto the soldiers. She lifted her hands, and the entire room shook. The soldiers stumbled as a powerful energy pulse erupted from Mia's body. The lights flickered again, and the walls trembled. "Stand down," Grayson barked, but it was too late. The soldiers fired, and in the blink of an eye, Mia disappeared. The impossible choice. For a split second, silence filled the lab. Then, Maya reappeared behind the soldiers. She moved so fast that it was impossible to see her with the naked eye. One by one, she grabbed their weapons and crushed them like paper. Grayson's eyes widened. Impossible. Mia turned to Ethan, her expression filled with fear and confusion. "Daddy, what's happening to me?" Ethan had no answer. He only knew one thing. They had to escape. "Mia, run," he shouted. Mia hesitated, then grabbed Ethan's hand and bolted through the broken exit. Outside, the night was chaos. The city burned, and alien ships roamed the sky, scanning for survivors. Ethan pulled Mia into the shadows, their breaths ragged. He turned to her, his voice breaking. "Sweetheart, listen to me. The government won't stop coming for you. They'll never let you be free." Mia's glowing blue eyes shimmered in the dark. "Then what do we do?" Ethan's heart ached. He had only two choices: a daughter's painful transformation. The city burned in the distance, filling the night with a sickly orange glow. Explosions echoed through the ruins as alien ships scanned the streets, hunting for survivors. In the shadows of an abandoned subway station, Ethan Cross held his daughter close, his mind racing. They were running out of time. Mia wasn't the same anymore. The serum had changed her, turning her into something beyond human. Her glowing blue eyes reflected in the dark, and her breath came in steady, unnatural rhythms. She barely looked tired, even after hours of running. Ethan, on the other hand, was exhausted. His body ached, his lungs burned, and his heart pounded with guilt. He had done this to her. Maya looked up at him, concern in her eyes. "Daddy, are you okay?" Ethan forced a smile. "I'll be fine, sweetheart." But his voice shook, betraying the lie. She tilted her head, as if scanning him, analyzing him. "You're lying," she said softly. Ethan's stomach twisted. How did she know that? Something inside Mia was awakening, something beyond super strength and speed, something far more dangerous. "The hunt begins," a deep mechanical voice echoed from above. "Target located. Begin extraction." Ethan's blood ran cold. The government had found them. Mia turned toward the ceiling, her enhanced vision scanning through the structure. "They're coming," she whispered. Ethan grabbed her hand. "We have to move." They sprinted deeper into the subway tunnels, their footsteps echoing through the empty station. The underground had been abandoned for years, covered in rust and decay, but it was their only chance of escape. Above them, the sound of boots marching grew louder. The hunters were here. The first kill. Ethan and Mia ducked into an old maintenance shaft, pressing themselves against the cold steel walls. Ethan's mind raced. He had spent years working for the government, helping them create the very soldiers now hunting them. He knew their tactics, their strategies. They wouldn't stop until they had Mia. Mia's breathing was eerily calm. "Daddy, I can hear them." Ethan tensed. "What do you mean?" Mia's glowing eyes flickered. "I can hear their heartbeats, their footsteps, the way they breathe." Ethan's pulse quickened. That wasn't normal. A shadow appeared at the entrance of the tunnel. A soldier. Ethan pulled Mia behind him, holding up his hands. "Wait, don't shoot." But the soldier didn't hesitate. He raised his rifle. And Mia moved. Too fast, too precise, too deadly. In an instant, she closed the distance, grabbed the soldier's weapon, and twisted it with her bare hands. The metal groaned and snapped like a toy. The soldier gasped. "What the?" Mia's hand shot forward, gripping his throat. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. "Mia, stop." But Mia's fingers tightened. The soldier's face turned red as he struggled against her grip. His weapon clattered to the ground. Mia stared at him, her face blank. Cold. Calculating. Ethan grabbed her shoulder. "Mia, let him go." For a moment, she didn't move. Then, she released him. The soldier collapsed, coughing violently, gasping for air. Maya took a step back, looking at her hands. I almost killed him." Her voice trembled, but there was no fear in it, only confusion. Ethan knelt beside her, gripping her hands. "Sweetheart, listen to me. You're still you. You're not a weapon. You're my daughter." Mia's glowing eyes flickered. "Then why do I feel different?" Ethan didn't have an answer. Because she wasn't the same anymore. The betrayal revealed. Before they could escape, another voice rang through the tunnels. "Stand down, Cross." Ethan turned sharply. Commander Grayson. Flanked by a squad of soldiers, Grayson stepped forward, his cybernetic mask gleaming in the dim light. His cold, metallic eyes locked onto Mia. "You've done well, Ethan," he said, voice dripping with amusement. "I wasn't sure the serum would work on a child. But look at her." He smiled. "She's magnificent." Ethan stepped in front of Mia. "She's not your experiment." Grayson chuckled. "Oh, but she is. The moment you injected her with that serum, she became ours." Mia's fists clenched. "I don't belong to you." Grayson ignored her, eyes fixed on Ethan. "Tell me, Doctor, did you ever wonder why the government let you work on the serum for so long?" Ethan's heart pounded. "What are you talking about?" Grayson smirked. "You really think we wanted to save humans?" He gestured to the soldiers. "We started this war, Ethan. We attacked the Draxans first. We needed an excuse." Ethan's stomach twisted. "That's not possible." Grayson's smirk widened. "Oh, it's very possible. The serum was never about survival. It was about evolution." Mia's voice was quiet, but firm. "You used us." Grayson nodded. "And now you belong to us. Both of you." Ethan's hands clenched into fists. He had been a fool. He had trusted the wrong people. Mia's breathing quickened. Her body tensed, her glowing eyes burning with something new. Rage. The air around her crackled. Grayson's smirk faltered. "What is she?" Boom. A shockwave exploded from Mia's body, knocking the soldiers off their feet. The walls cracked, dust raining from above. The tunnel groaned, threatening to collapse. Mia's eyes locked onto Grayson. "I am not your weapon." She raised her hand. And the world shattered. The breaking point. When the dust cleared, Maya stood in the center of the destruction. Soldiers lay unconscious. The tunnel walls had collapsed behind them, cutting them off from pursuit. Ethan stumbled to his feet, staring at his daughter. Maya turned to him, her glowing eyes full of power. And for the first time, fear. "Daddy." Her voice was barely a whisper. "I don't know who I am anymore." Ethan pulled her into his arms. "You're my daughter. That's all that matters." Mia didn't respond. Because deep down, she wasn't sure if that was true anymore. The betrayal begins. The tunnel lay in ruins. Dust filled the air, mixing with the metallic scent of blood. The unconscious soldiers groaned, their bodies buried under the wreckage. Sparks flickered from shattered equipment. Ethan Cross held his daughter tightly, his mind racing. Mia wasn't supposed to be this powerful. He had created the serum to enhance human survival, not to turn his little girl into a walking force of destruction. Mia trembled in his arms, her glowing blue eyes wide with fear. "Daddy, I didn't mean to." Ethan pulled back and cupped her face. "I know, sweetheart. It's okay." But deep inside, he wasn't sure if it was okay. Her power was growing. Too fast. Too unpredictable. Too dangerous. And now, they had nowhere left to run. Nowhere is safe. Ethan grabbed Mia's hand and sprinted through the tunnels. They needed shelter. They needed a plan. But more than anything, they needed to figure out what was happening to her. Mia ran beside him effortlessly, her movements unnaturally smooth. Even in the dim tunnel, her eyes glowed like a predator in the dark. "Where are we going?" she asked. Ethan barely had an answer. "Somewhere safe." Mia didn't reply, but she kept looking at her hands, at the energy crackling beneath her skin. Her body was still changing. Ethan could feel it. The question was, into what? They emerged from the tunnel into an abandoned underground station. The place was covered in dust. Old newspapers crumpled in the corners. A long-dead vending machine stood in the corner, its glass shattered. Ethan sighed, trying to catch his breath. His body ached from all the running. He turned to Mia. "We need to rest." Mia, however, was staring at the darkness beyond the tracks. Her glowing blue eyes narrowed. "We're not alone. A new enemy arrives." Ethan stiffened. "What do you mean?" Mia's expression darkened. "Something's coming." Then, a soft clicking sound filled the air. Ethan grabbed Mia's arm and pulled her back just as a monstrous figure stepped out of the shadows. It wasn't human. It was a Draxen. 8 feet tall, its black exoskeleton glistened under the dim light. Its glowing red eyes locked onto Mia, its mandibles clicking in a terrifying rhythm. Ethan's pulse spiked. He had only seen Draxens from a distance, on screens, in reports, but never this close. Never hunting him. The Draxen tilted its head. Then, in a deep, inhuman voice, it spoke. "You are the one." Mia flinched. "What?" The Draxen took a step closer. "You are. Like us." Ethan's breath caught in his throat. Like them. What did that mean? Mia's fingers curled into fists. "I am not like you." The Draxen's red eyes flared. "Not yet." Then, it lunged. Mia versus the Draxen. Everything happened in an instant. The Draxen moved fast, faster than any human. It swung a massive claw at Mia, but she dodged effortlessly, her body blurring out of the way. Ethan barely had time to react. Mia's reflexes weren't just enhanced, they were inhuman. The Draxen lunged again, its claw aimed straight for her throat. Mia caught it. With one hand. The Draxen snarled in surprise. Mia's grip tightened, and with a sudden motion, she snapped the alien's wrist like a twig. The creature screeched in pain, stumbling back. Ethan couldn't believe what he was seeing. His 12-year-old daughter was holding her own against an alien warrior. Mia stepped forward, her glowing blue eyes filled with something dark. Something that made Ethan's stomach churn. Enjoyment. She was liking this. The Draxen growled. "You are changing." Mia clenched her fists. Electricity crackled around her. "No," she said, her voice dangerously calm. "I've already changed." Then she struck. A single punch, faster than lightning, stronger than steel, slammed into the Draxen's chest. The creature's exoskeleton shattered. Its body flew backward, crashing into the far wall with a sickening crack. The Draxen twitched once, then went completely still. Dead. Mia took a shaky breath, lowering her fist. Ethan felt numb. This wasn't his daughter anymore. The true horror. Mia turned to Ethan, her expression unreadable. "Are you okay?" Ethan stared at the dead Draxen, his heart pounding. "Mia," he whispered. "What are you?" Mia's glowing blue eyes dimmed slightly. For the first time, She looked scared. I don't know. Ethan stepped forward and grabbed her shoulders. Listen to me. That thing, it said you were like them. Mia shivered. I heard something in my head when I touched it. Ethan's breath caught. What? Mia hesitated, then whispered, It wasn't trying to kill me. It was trying to take me. Ethan's blood ran cold. Why? Why would the Draxans want Mia? Unless the government wasn't the only one interested in her. The final betrayal. Before Ethan could respond, a familiar voice echoed through the station. Fascinating, isn't it? Ethan turned sharply, and his stomach dropped. Standing at the entrance, surrounded by heavily armed soldiers, was Commander Grayson. He was alive, and he was smiling. Ethan instinctively pulled Mia behind him. Stay back. Grayson chuckled. Oh, Ethan, still trying to play the hero. He stepped forward, his cybernetic mask gleaming under the station's flickering lights. You still don't get it, do you? Ethan clenched his fists. What do you want? Grayson smirked. Mia, of course. Mia stiffened. You'll never take me. Grayson tilted his head. Oh, sweetheart, I don't need to take you. Then, Mia gasped. Her body tensed, her knees buckling. She clutched her head, her glowing blue eyes flickering. D-Daddy. Ethan panicked. Mia, what's wrong? Grayson's smirk widened. I told you, Ethan. He raised a small device in his hand, a blue light pulsing from its center. She's ours. Then Mia collapsed. The superhuman weapon unleashed. Mia lay on the cold concrete floor of the abandoned subway station, her body trembling. Her once glowing blue eyes flickered weakly, as if a battle was raging inside her mind. Ethan Cross dropped to his knees beside her, panic surging through his veins. Mia, stay with me. Her fingers twitched. She gasped for breath. But something was wrong. Her expression was blank, as if she was staring through him. Across the station, Commander Grayson stood watching, his cybernetic eye glowing with satisfaction. You really thought you could run, Ethan, Grayson said, twirling a small device between his fingers. Did you forget who made her? Ethan's blood ran cold. Made her? He clenched his fists. She's not a machine, Grayson. She's my daughter. Grayson smirked. Oh, Ethan, you still don't get it. He nodded toward Mia. She stopped being your daughter the moment you injected that serum. She became our greatest weapon. The truth revealed. Ethan shook his head, trying to fight the panic rising in his chest. No, you're lying. Grayson chuckled. Am I? He took slow, measured steps forward, his soldiers flanking him with weapons raised. Tell me, doctor, he continued, have you ever wondered why your serum worked so perfectly on a 12-year-old girl? Why none of the soldiers you experimented on ever reached her level of transformation? Ethan's mind raced. The serum was supposed to enhance human biology, to help fight against the Draxans, but none of the test subjects had survived the full transformation, except Mia. And now, Grayson was acting like that was intentional. Ethan stood protectively over Mia's twitching body. What did you do? Grayson smirked. We didn't create a weapon to fight the Draxans, Ethan. He pointed at Mia. We created a weapon from the Draxans. Ethan's heart stopped. His stomach twisted in horror. No, he whispered. Grayson's eyes gleamed. Oh yes, Mia's dark origins. Ethan fell back onto his knees, his breath shallow. It couldn't be true. But deep inside, something clicked, pieces of a puzzle he had ignored for too long. The serum had always been unstable on humans. It either killed them or mutated them beyond control. But Mia? She hadn't just survived. She had thrived. Because she wasn't fully human. Grayson continued, enjoying Ethan's horror. Mia's mother, she wasn't who you thought she was she? Ethan's vision blurred. His hands trembled. No, that's not possible. Grayson crouched beside him, lowering his voice to a whisper. Mia is part Draxan, Ethan. That's why the serum worked. That's why she's stronger than any human. Ethan's breath hitched. The memories flashed back. His wife, Alina, had died when Mia was just a baby. She had worked in the same government labs, always hiding something. She had been afraid of something. Now he understood why. Mia was never supposed to exist. She was the first hybrid. And now, she was waking up. The weapon activates. Mia's body arched off the ground, her back bending unnaturally. Her eyes snapped open, pulsing with an eerie, unnatural glow. Ethan reached for her. Mia. A shockwave exploded from her body. The entire subway station shook. Debris rained down. Soldiers were thrown backward, their weapons clattering to the floor. Ethan barely managed to stay upright as a new presence filled the air. Mia slowly rose into the air. Not by jumping, not by moving, by pure force. Her feet hovered inches above the ground. Her hair lifted as if caught in an unseen wind. The blue glow from her body intensified, swirling like energy, trying to break free. Then she spoke. But it wasn't her voice. It was something else. Something ancient, powerful, not human. The time has come. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. This wasn't just Maya anymore. The power unleashed. The soldiers scrambled to their feet, raising their weapons. Open fire. Gunfire erupted, lasers streaking through the air toward Mia. But they never reached her. The energy around her pulsed, and every bullet, every laser, every piece of metal stopped midair. The weapons froze, suspended in a crackling field of energy. Then, in an instant, they reversed. The entire barrage of bullets flung backward with impossible speed, slamming into the soldiers. Screams filled the station. Ethan's mind screamed ruin, but he couldn't move. Because Mia turned to him. Her glowing eyes burned into his soul. "Daddy?" she whispered, her voice layered with something alien. Ethan's heart pounded. "Sweetheart, I'm here." Mia blinked slowly. "What am I?" Tears burned in Ethan's eyes. "You're my daughter." Mia looked down at her hands, energy flickering around her fingertips. "I don't feel human anymore." Grayson, bloody but alive, laughed from the ground. "Because you're not." Mia's hands clenched. A sudden rage flooded her expression. Ethan saw it, the moment she stopped feeling afraid, the moment she stopped feeling human. She lifted her hand toward Grayson. The air hummed, energy crackling around her fingertips. She was about to kill him. Ethan lunged forward and grabbed her hand. No. Mia flinched. The energy around her hand flickered, unstable. Her breathing shook. For a second, the girl he knew was still there. But then, her expression hardened. She pulled away. "Daddy." Her voice was quiet. "I think I was made for something else." Ethan's chest ached. "Mia, please." She stepped back. The energy around her intensified, the very air vibrating around her body. Grayson's remaining soldiers ran. Even he looked afraid. Then, Mia vanished. One moment she was there. The next, she was gone. Ethan fell to his knees, breathless. Grayson chuckled weakly. "Well, doctor, looks like your little girl just became a god." Ethan's fists clenched. His daughter was out there, alone, unstable. And the world had no idea what was coming. The truth behind the war. The night sky burned with the glow of wreckage as Earth's last cities fell. Alien ships hovered above, their eerie blue lights scanning for survivors. But Ethan Cross didn't care about the war anymore. He only cared about Mia. His daughter had disappeared, vanished in a flash of energy so powerful that even the soldiers hunting them had run in fear. Now, he sat in the ruins of an old shelter, staring at the shattered world around him. His body ached from the chase, his mind tormented by the words of Commander Grayson. "We didn't create a weapon to fight the Draxans, Ethan. We created a weapon from the Draxans. The truth was out. Mia wasn't just enhanced. She was part alien. And now she was missing. Or worse, she was becoming something humanity couldn't stop. Ethan took a shaky breath. He had to find her. Before it was too late. The Draxans' plan. The silence of the ruined city was broken by a deep rumbling hum. Ethan's head snapped up as a massive shadow passed over him. A Draxan warship, a sleek black structure pulsing with red energy, descended onto the broken streets. His heart pounded. If the Draxans were here, that meant they were still looking for Mia. Why? Ethan crouched behind a collapsed building, watching as several Draxans emerged from the ship. Their towering exoskeletal bodies gleamed under the moonlight, their red eyes scanning the wreckage. Then a new figure stepped forward. He wasn't like the others. He was bigger, stronger, more advanced. His exoskeleton shimmered with an unnatural glow, and his gaze wasn't just cold, it was intelligent. Ethan had seen footage of him before. This was High General Vokar, the Draxans' supreme leader, the one responsible for the war. Ethan's fists clenched. If anyone knew the truth about Mia, it was him. He had to take a risk. Before fear could stop him, Ethan stepped out from his hiding spot. "I need to talk to you," he called out. The Draxans immediately turned, weapons raised. Vokar, however, lifted a hand. The soldiers stopped. He tilted his head. "You are Ethan Cross, the human scientist." Ethan's breath was heavy. "Yes, and I know what you did to my daughter." Vokar studied him. Then, to Ethan's surprise, he laughed. A deep, rumbling sound that sent chills down Ethan's spine. "You still believe this war is about you?" Vokar said. Ethan gritted his teeth. "The government used my research to turn Mia into a weapon. But you..." He stepped forward, anger flaring in his chest. "You knew she wasn't human. You've been looking for her. Why?" Vokar's expression darkened. "You misunderstand, human." His red eyes glowed. "We did not make Mia." Ethan frowned. "What?" Vokar took a slow step forward. His towering presence made Ethan feel small, fragile. "You believe this war is about conquest. You believe your kind fights for survival." His voice dropped, low and menacing. "But this war was never about Earth." Ethan's breath hitched. Then what was it about? Vokar leaned in. It was always about her. The real war. Ethan's mind reeled. The Draxans weren't fighting for Earth. They were fighting for Mia. "You lie," Ethan said, shaking his head. "Why would an entire alien species go to war over one girl?" Vokar's gaze didn't waver. "Because she is not just a girl. She is something far more." He gestured toward the sky. "There is something coming, Ethan Cross. Something greater than Draxans or humans." Ethan frowned. "What?" Vokar's red eyes flickered. "The Elders." Ethan felt a chill creep up his spine. "Who?" Vokar took a slow, measured breath. "Long ago, the Elders ruled over the stars. They were neither human nor Draxan. They were beyond us." He turned his gaze to the sky, his expression almost fearful. "They vanished centuries ago. But before they disappeared, they left behind something, a fragment of their power." Ethan's heart pounded. No, it couldn't be. Vokar's eyes locked onto him. "Mia carries that power, and the Elders are returning to claim it. Mia's awakening." The words hit Ethan like a hammer. Mia wasn't just a hybrid. She was something ancient. Something powerful enough that an entire alien war was being fought just to control her. And now, she was alone. "She doesn't know what she is," Ethan said, almost to himself. Vokar nodded. "And that makes her dangerous." A cold realization settled in Ethan's chest. If the Draxans wanted Mia for their own reasons, then what did the government plan to do with her? Ethan clenched his fists. "Where is she?" Vokar studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly, he raised a clawed hand and pointed to the horizon. Ethan turned. The sky was cracking. Not literally, but the air shimmered and twisted like a mirage. Lightning arced between the clouds, pulsing with an unnatural glow. And in the center of it all, Mia floated high above the ruins. Ethan's breath caught. She wasn't the same girl he had raised. Her hair drifted weightlessly, strands glowing with blue energy. Her eyes burned with power, and strange symbols flickered across her skin. Symbols Ethan had never seen before. And when she spoke, her voice wasn't just hers. It was layered, ancient. "They are coming." A deep rumble shook the earth. The clouds tore apart, revealing something hidden in the darkness of space. Something massive. A fleet of unknown ships. Not Draxan. Not human. Something else. The elders had returned. The final choice. Ethan felt his knees go weak. His daughter stood between two warring species, between two entire civilizations. And now, something even older had come for her. Volker stepped beside him. "You see now, don't you?" Ethan swallowed hard. "I don't care about your war," he said. "I only care about my daughter." Volker studied him for a moment. Then, surprisingly, he nodded. "Then you must make a choice, Ethan Cross." His red eyes gleamed. "Save her, or stop her." The sky erupted in fire. The war for Mia had only just begun. A father's redemption, or final goodbye. The sky was breaking. Ethan Cross watched in horror as the heavens ripped apart, revealing a vast fleet of unknown ships, their surfaces shimmering with an eerie golden light. These were not human, not Draxan. These were the elders. The ones who had vanished long ago. The ones who had left behind a piece of their power, a fragment that now lived inside his daughter. And now, they had returned to take her. Mia hovered above the ruins, suspended in the air as if gravity no longer applied to her. Energy cascaded around her, shifting like a living storm. Her eyes weren't just glowing anymore. They burned, radiating power that pulsed with every beat of her heart. Ethan's heart ached. His little girl was gone. Or was she still in there, fighting to hold on? Beside him, General Volker stood motionless, his massive Draxan frame rigid as he gazed up at the sky. His red eyes gleamed with something Ethan had never seen in the alien before. Fear. "Their arrival is unexpected," Volker rumbled. "We thought they were lost to time." Ethan turned to him, anger boiling in his chest. "You lied to me." Volker's gaze didn't waver. "We withheld the truth. There is a difference." Ethan's fists clenched. He had no time for alien word games, not when his daughter was up there, alone, facing something neither humans nor Draxans could comprehend. And then a voice descended from the sky. Deep, ancient, unfathomable. It spoke into the very fabric of existence. "The vessel awakes." Ethan's breath caught in his throat. Mia was the vessel, the choice that ends everything. Mia's body tensed, her fingers curling into fists. She turned her head slightly, as if listening to something unseen. Then she whispered, "I can hear them." Ethan's chest tightened. "Mia." She turned toward him, and for the first time since her transformation, her expression wasn't blank. It was afraid. "They're calling me," she said, voice barely a whisper. "They want me to go with them." Ethan moved forward, desperation rising inside him. "No, Mia. You don't have to listen to them." The sky rumbled as the golden ships began descending, their energy beams locking onto Mia. Volker stepped forward. "If she goes with them, we will never see her again." Ethan's blood turned to ice. "What do they want with her?" Volker's gaze darkened. "To finish what they started." A golden rift began to open above them, swirling like a portal to a place beyond time. The light from it was almost blinding, and Ethan felt an overwhelming pressure, as if reality itself was being rewritten. Mia winced, clutching her head. "It hurts." Ethan's heart shattered. He couldn't let this happen. He had already lost too much. He refused to lose her. The final battle. The Elders' fleet hovered closer. Their energy fields crackled as they began pulling Mia toward them. No. Ethan ran forward, but the force was too strong. He could feel it pulling against him, as if trying to tear his daughter away. Volker growled, his massive claws digging into the ground as he struggled to resist the pull. His soldiers, scattered across the ruins, roared in defiance. And then, the sky exploded. Draxan warships appeared from the clouds, opening fire on the Elders' fleet. Massive beams of red and blue energy tore through the golden rift, distorting its form. The Elders retaliated, their ships firing pulses of raw energy that ripped through reality itself. Ethan shielded his eyes as the world descended into chaos. Mia screamed, her body convulsed, caught between two warring powers, one pulling her away, the other refusing to let her go. Ethan saw it. Saw the final moment where everything would be decided. His daughter was at the breaking point. If he didn't act now, he would lose her forever. A father's last sacrifice. Ethan knew what he had to do. He had spent his whole life building weapons. Now he had to destroy one. He turned to Vokar. "I need to stop this. Tell me how." The Draxan general hesitated for only a second. Then he made a choice. The core of her power lies in the serum. If we sever it, she will no longer be the vessel. Ethan nodded. Then, before anyone could stop him, he ran straight into the storm. "Emma," he shouted, forcing himself forward against the pull of the Elders. His daughter's eyes snapped to him. Tears ran down her cheeks. "Daddy." Ethan reached her, grabbing her hands. The energy burned his skin, but he didn't let go. "You're still my little girl," he whispered. Mia's face twisted in pain. "But I don't feel human anymore." Ethan placed a trembling hand against her cheek. "Then let me bring you back." Mia sobbed, and for the first time since her transformation, she hesitated. Ethan pulled a small injector from his belt. The counter serum. It would shut down the enhancements. It would make Mia normal again. But it could also kill her. Mia's blue eyes locked onto his. "Will I still be me?" Ethan's throat tightened. "You'll always be my daughter." Tears slipped down her cheeks. Then she nodded. Ethan didn't waste a second. He plunged the injector into her heart.